Welcome to the Karen Cave. Today as you can see, I've got a bunch of fresh vegetables. I took a ride out to the farm this morning to see how the Roma tomatoes were coming off. And here in North Carolina, it's about that time. So I picked up a bunch of Roma tomatoes and I'm gonna make some fresh salsa. I'm gonna use the recipe directly from the USDA canning book. You know that's my favorite book. And it has all the ingredients in there, and I have them all here. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is chop things up, get things prepared, and then we're gonna go over how you score and peel your tomatoes and make some fresh salsa. So stick with me. So since our recipe calls for 4 cups of chopped up or sliced up tomatoes, Roma tomatoes, what we're gonna do first is we're gonna score these, and then we're gonna boil them, and then we're gonna peel them, because we wanna know how many tomatoes we have to know actually how many cups of other ingredients that we need to do. I'm thinking that we're probably gonna have to double this recipe. So let's get started. First thing that we need to do in this messy recipe is we don't wanna get tomatoes all over the pretty dress. So let's get our apron on and let's get started. Okay, so let's get started scoring all of our tomatoes. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time depending on how many pounds of tomatoes you have. And you might want to ask yourself, well, how many pounds of tomatoes makes up a certain amount of cups? In my description below, I will have a reference to a chart that I use, but it usually is about a pound of tomatoes to 2 cups of chopped tomatoes. So you say, well, what kind of tomatoes? Well, it does vary. So you're just gonna have to kind of go with your gut feeling on that, but usually about a pound of tomatoes, Roma tomatoes, beefsteak tomatoes, whatever, will make up about 2 cups of chopped. But the chart that I have in my description below will help you. So to get started scoring your tomatoes, you wanna have a really good knife. So I have also in my description of where you can get an amazing perforated knife. I have this knife, and I also have this bigger knife that's perforated. Obviously this is too big to be using to score on, but this is what we'll use later for some chopping. And as always, close to my heart, I keep my grandfather's really sharp knife that he used at many of the country clubs up in the Chicagoland area where he worked as a chef. So we'll keep those in mind, but the smaller perforated knife is perfect to start with your scoring. So what you want to do with these Roma tomatoes is this side, the stem side down, you want to start, and at the very top you want to take your perforated knife, and you don't want to go very deep, you know, as thin as you can, but enough to get into the skin, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to cook this tomato when you put it in the boiling water to get it to peel. So you'll start at the top, and simply just pull your knife down and go all the way to the stem, and then you're going to go back to the top and you're going to make another one. And basically what you're doing here is you're making a star at the top, but make sure you drag that all the way down to the stem. I can't tell you how important that is. I've learned that over time doing this. And the other important aspect of scoring to me that's really helped these peel well is to make sure that all 4 of your connections, your intersection, I guess you could say almost like in the road, all connect, so that there's a clean cut between that X on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and score the rest of these, and then we'll start peeling them. So here we go. Okay, I've got almost all of my tomatoes scored, but again, I'm going to go over this one more time with you. So at the very top, start at the very top, keep your stem at the bottom, and take your perforated knife and just gently, you don't need it really thick, and go all the way to the stem. And so you want to do that until you make the crossroads on the top, and make sure that your crossroads at the top all intersect. It just makes easier for peeling when you put them into the hot water and you take them out. So you can see how the score at the top makes that beautiful X. And one more time, again, just gently start at the very top, pull all the way down to your stem, again to your stem, and you just want to make that. And when you go back here, just stick your knife right back into the other line and just pull back down. And so you're making a beautiful X at the top that intersects. Okay, so the next step that we're going to do is we're going to put it into our boiling water for about 15 seconds, and then we'll peel them. Okay, so our water is all ready. You can see the steam coming out of it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the lid from it. So always be careful of that steam that you don't burn yourself. And then we're going to start adding our tomatoes one by one to them. I usually do 4 or 5 of them at one time. And I'll use a pair of tongs to put them in there because you don't want water splashing all over the place. So we're going to stick one of them, and we'll probably do 5 of them to get started here. And you leave them in there for about 15, like I said, 15, 20, 30 seconds. You're going to kind of see the skin starting to pull back from them. So a lot of times it does vary on the size of the tomatoes, how fast the peels will start to come back. But once you start seeing them come back, you can take them out, let them cool, and then start peeling them back. Okay, our tomatoes were in there for about 25 seconds, and I noticed that the skins were just loosely on the top. And then you take them out, let them cool for a little bit, and just the skins peel back and actually make a beautiful tomato flour. So if you just watch here, you just grab up at the top where and this is where I say the intersection is really important, because if you just peel it, it just comes right down. So yes, my challenge is when I peel them, is to have them looking really pretty and to be able to have that tomato flour turn out a beautiful peel like that. So continue to peel all of your tomatoes in the same manner. And once you get them all peeled and they're a little bit cool, you just want to chop them up and get rid of the bottom part, the stem part, and chop them up and put them into your measuring cups so we know how many pounds of tomatoes and how many cups we've made. So we can adjust our recipe with our spices. So again, go ahead and get your tomatoes peeled and we'll be back. Okay, so we got all of our tomatoes peeled and scored and made into those beautiful tomato flowers that I like to challenge myself with, and we came up with 8 cups of tomatoes. So our recipe that we're following in the USDA Home Canning guide calls for 4 cups. So everything that we're going to do now, we're going to double it. So we'll double the love with that. We're going to have some chili peppers, hot peppers, onions, cilantro, and everything else. And make sure you have some of these bad boys. You don't want to handle those hot peppers with your hands, and never touch your face or your eyes when you're peeling those. Make sure you take these off, wash your hands really well, because you do not want to get that burn going on in your face. So get some rubber gloves, get a couple of sharp knives, and let's get making into our ingredients so we get some salsa going here. Okay, so we've got everything chopped up. We're all ready to go. We've got all of our ingredients. We've doubled them. And now we're going to put them into this beautiful stainless steel pan or pot that I have, and cook it down for about 20 minutes. So everything is here. We have our cumin and our garlic and our oregano and our cilantro in here. We have our onions, our tomatoes, our hot kind of mild peppers, and then we've got the jalapenos. And then I'm going to add 2 cups of vinegar is what it's called for, so I will add 4 cups of vinegar, and I'll bring that to a good boil, and then we'll start putting it into the jars. So you're probably wondering, why do I have these silly gloves still on? But I'm going to tell you, you could just smell the aroma from these hot peppers, and this salsa is a hot mess, and I am not going to risk my eyes with these. So I'm going to take everything and pour it into this pot and make sure that my hands stay away from the hot peppers. So let's get it into our pot and let's get it onto the old chambers and start cooking it. Okay, so we're going to fire up the chambers and see those beautiful blue flames appear, and we're going to move our salsa over to that burner. and start bringing it to a nice hard boil. You can see all the ingredients, and it smells so delicious. Welcome back. We have canned all of our salsa and took it out of the hot water bath and let it cool, and they have all sealed. Remember, again, when you're canning your jars, you want to make sure your jars are sterilized. You wipe those rims very well and let them cool completely. You'll hear them pop when they seal, and you want to leave that 1/4 headspace for that pressure to be able to seal it. So I'm very pleased with the way this turned out. Again, I used the tomato salsa using the slicing tomatoes from the USDA Home Canning guide, and all of this is listed in my description below. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you get the opportunity to make some fresh salsa for yourself and your families and enjoy it this summer. Remember to ring the bell if you liked my video, and to subscribe to my page and come back for some more great recipes that you can enjoy. Thanks for joining me.